Continuing from the introduction earlier, the following parts, starting from this one, explores various concepts of the spiritual stages seen from highest to lowest, that is moksha to samsara, and the concepts that they signify, along with the temples where they can be seen as deities in and around Kumbakonam, as well as the various shrines of Tiruvaru. We start with the self itself, which is called Atman. Atman, by definition, is that state of blissful peace, the state that one encounters in deep sleep without any interference of Maya. It is not bound by space and time, it is infinite, it is eternal. So, being eternal and being the truth and the only reality, it is called Sat. Being the base state of consciousness on which everything else is built, it is called Chit. And being full of bliss, it is called Anandam. So this Satchit Anandam is also the Absolute, so it is called Parabrahman. This is the Atman, which forms the highest stage in the spiritual path. And the stage is also viewed as an aspect of the mother, because the stage manifests in various physical forms. That is, the stage is the origin of all creation and of all of the universe, so it is called the mother or Ambika. In particular, Sri Vidya, the tradition of Hinduism that centers around worshipping the Atman as the mother, and here the mother is called Lalita Ambika, Lalita meaning playful, since the whole universe is seen as a play or Leela of the Atman. This Lalita Ambika is typically shown with 4 arms seated on a throne, and the symbolic representation of the mother is the Sri Yantra, a pattern of interlocking triangles, and the mother is viewed as the highest point in all of Sri Vidya, so this forms the highest destination and is the Atman itself. Now, within India, the mother is enshrined as Kamakshi in Kanchipuram, which is a very famous temple and which is a center of Sri Vidya. In Kumbakonam and in and around Kumbakonam, one sees the mother as Lalita Ambika in Tirumiyachur. Tirumiyachur is around 1 kilometer from Peralam, which is on the Mayiladuthurai-Tiruvaru route. Here, the goddess is seen as Lalita Ambika, and the temple is enshrining Meghanatha, that is Lord Shiva, apart from Lalita Ambika. Lalita Ambika is shown here seated 2 arms holding a flower and in a very peaceful and blissful posture. The legend of the temple is that the very origin of Lalita Sahasranamam, extolling the goddess in 1000 names, is originated in this temple by the Vak Devatas, who are the goddesses of speech. According to the legend, Lord Meghanatha and Lord Lalita Ambika are enshrined here and worshipped by Lord Surya, which is the sun god, because of a curse inflicted by his charioteer Aruna, whom he had earlier teased for not having legs. And as repentance and to get relief from the curse, Lord Surya worshipped Lord Shiva, so the Lord Shiva is seen as the Lord among the clouds, which is Meghanatha. There is an incident where goddess as Parvati was on the verge of cursing Surya again, and Lord Shiva prevented her from this and subsided her anger, which is seen in this beautiful sculpture of Kshetra Puraneshwara, where the goddess is seen one side angry, that is the side facing Surya, whereas the other side facing Shiva is smiling, indicating that her anger has calmed down. So this is a beautiful temple in Tirumiyachur, 1 kilometer from Peralam, where one can see the mother enshrined as Lalita Ambika. The mother as the self also forms the Guru, because it is this self that manifests as various gods in each stage, and also the self is the final destination. So when a person keeps looking at the self alone in all these stages, towards the self in all these stages, the person ultimately reaches the self. So the self is seen as the highest teacher or preceptor, that is called Atman, and the self is also the master of every other creation, because it is from the self that everything else has come. So this reason is why the self is called Shasta, Shasta meaning master. The self is also called Guru because it is the ultimate teacher. Now, Yajurveda Taittiriya Aranyaka states this definition about Shasta and calls the Shasta as Sarvatma, or the most supreme self, which rules everything and which is present inside everybody. Now, within this concept, Shasta is seen as the highest or the Paramaguru or Parameshti Guru and is enshrined within India in the famous temple of Sabrimala as an incarnation Ayyappan, but also in other temples as Aryankavu. The self, by definition, is Atma, which is formless. So, there are also certain temples like Kulattur where the Lord is seen enshrined as a Sri Yantra, the mother's geometric symbol, and not as an idol. Now, within Tiruvarur, Shasta is seen as the entrance to the Kamalamba shrine, where Kamalamba plays the role of Lalita Ambika, as already seen in the previous introduction parts. Lord Shasta is shown here in the form of Guru, and the various shrines around Kamalamba are installed in the order of worship in Sri Vidya. And according to this order, right after Ganesha, Shasta is present, occupying the place of the Guru. Now, around Kumbakonam, Shasta is seen in a temple called Ichangudi, which is located in the Kumbakonam Tiruvayyaru road, which has convenient bus facilities. And this temple is one of many small village temples all over Tamil Nadu that house Shasta, who is usually seen as a village deity. Um, in this particular aspect, Shasta is seen as the protector of villages and establishing Dharma as Dharma Shasta more than the Jnanam part, which is usually seen in higher Vedic level descriptions. The temple of Ichangudi is one of such many temples which was very significant in earlier days but then went into neglect, but was later revived by Mahapiriva of Kanchi Madam, who named this particular form of Shasta as Kalyana Shasta, which is the form which bestows all auspiciousness, all good things, and like for example progeny apart from Jnana. So Ichangudi is one temple where you can find this very powerful form of Lord Shasta. The next way to see a Shasta is usually as the two aspects of Jnana and Bhakti, because the two aspects of Jnana and Bhakti ultimately lead to the self. So among these, the Shasta is also seen as two forms of Guru. The first is Jnana Guru, which is Dakshinamurti. Now here the Lord is seen seated with four arms, but the main feature here is the Chinmudra which the Lord is holding. The Lord is seen in a state of trance or samadhi. Samadhi is when one person is able to concentrate his mind on a single thought, excluding all the other thoughts, and then in due course will let go of this thought also, so that he'll reach that same state of blissful deep sleep, uh, which he can experience while being aware and awake. So this particular experience is called trance or samadhi. So Dakshinamurti is seen in such a state of trance, which is a blissful state. He is silent. He is silent to emphasize that this is the best form of teaching, and that the final aim of jnana is this same blissful state, which is nothing but silence. So he is not just the teacher of jnana, but also the end point of jnana. The chin mudra here shows the thumb and forefinger joined together. Forefinger here is representative of the ego or individuality, which a person has to surrender. This one person surrenders and merges with the Parabrahman, which is represented by thumb. Now, when a person surrenders the ego, this can only be done by understanding that everything, that is the mind, body, and world, are not real. So he has to look at the reality of everything, question the reality, and if it is not real, he has to exclude it and ignore it. So these are the other three fingers which are pointing straight up, telling to ignore these. And finally, when Dakshinamurti reaches the point of ultimate silence, it is what is seen as bliss. So this is one important component of Shasta. Now, what is interesting here is that Dakshinamurti is shown with one earring. Now, the fundamental singularity, that is the Atman, manifests in the fundamental masculine and feminine principles called Purusha and Prakriti. Equal importance of Purusha and Prakriti is seen in the Dakshinamurti concept and the concept of Jnana. This is why Lord Dakshinamurti, whose left half symbolizes Prakriti and right half symbolizes Purusha, and the left half alone is seen with a earring. The Lord also has fire in his left hand, which symbolizes the burning away of all the unreal things and unreal thoughts, which is a very necessary component to achieve jnana. The second component is bhakti. Bhakti is devotion where we see the Lord inside the heart as the controller of mind, body, and universe. So, this develops focus towards the Lord, towards attaining the Lord, and towards surrendering to the Lord completely, recognizing that the mind and body are instruments. This is very essential to understand that the mind and body are not real, and also to surrender the concept of ego or ahankara. Now, in this stage of surrendering to the Lord, one no longer sees oneself as doer or performer of various actions, and because of that, one is no longer affected by karma. So, Krishna represents the Atman, which shines through the heart, from the heart, and grants this karma moksha by ensuring that we surrender completely to Him. So, in that aspect, Krishna is seen as the Bhakti Guru or Guru of devotion. As the prime feeling in devotion is the feeling of love and affection towards God. Krishna is the very symbolism of such devotion. And so, everything connected with Krishna is sweet, which is the famous Madhurashtakam. And this is an allusion to the sweetness of devotion. Now, Krishna represents music, the flute, and also knowledge. Knowledge as in the Gita Upadesha that he had given to Arjuna in the Mahabharata. Together they represent the single knowledge that Krishna is indeed the ultimate Atman, which is summarized by the single phrase Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the entire essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Now, considering these two gurus, in Kumbakonam, one sees the temple of Abhimukeshwara. It is on the eastern bank of Mahamaham. So, in the legend of Kumbakonam and Lord Shiva breaking the Kumbha, the pot finally landed in this particular place of Abhimukeshwara. The pot, while breaking the pot, the coconut finally landed in Abhimukeshwara. So, this is the place where Shiva is also called Narikesha, which is the one born out of a coconut. The coconut itself is viewed as the Shiva Lingam here because this is how the Lord Shiva manifested. And another important feature of the temple is the Dakshinamurti, which is seen in a Yoga Dakshinamurti pose with one leg lifted up. But the same elements of Chinmudra, etc., are also seen there. The temple of Abhimukeshwara is on the eastern bank of Mahamaham tank, and it is a very decent sized temple. It is one of the main temples which participate in the festival of Mahamaham every year on the Mashi Maham day in the Hindu calendar month of Magha. The Lord is seen as Abhimukeshwara here, while the goddess is seen as Amritavalli. This is a Utsava form of the god and goddess as a Somaskanda form along with Shanmukha. In Tiruvarur, the major shrine of Dakshinamurti is the Meda Dakshinamurti, which is on the northern Praharam in a separate mandapam by itself. Again, the unique features of Meda Dakshinamurti are the presence of a single earring as well as the presence of snakes coiled all around the Lord's body. While this is a major shrine of Dakshinamurti, one also sees Dakshinamurti in many other places within the Tiruvarur temple, and one interesting place is in a pillar. The entrance to the Kamalamba temple has two pillars representing the paths of Jnana and Bhakti. So, one pillar enshrines Dakshinamurti here. Here he is shown seated. This pose is seen more similar to a Vyakyana Dakshinamurti pose, where Dakshinamurti is expounding the principles of scriptures to various saints and sages who are his disciples seated at the side of his feet. As far as the Bhakti Guru Krishna was in Kumbakonam, in and around Kumbakonam, there is the famous temple of Rajagopala Swami in Mannargudi, which houses the Lord Krishna as Rajagopala. According to the history of this temple, the two Gopikas once wanted to eagerly see the various Leelas of Lord Krishna, and they were approaching Vrindavan in the north of Varanasi, where at this point Sage Narada met them and told them that the Leela of Krishna, the Krishna avatar, had already ended and then they would no longer be able to see these. So they prayed intensely towards Krishna, where Krishna then manifested in Managudi and showed them all his Leelas, the total number of Leelas being 32. And this Lord, according to their request, is enshrined as Rajagopala Swami. While in all over India, the main shrines of Krishna are Mathura, where he was born, and Dwaraka, which is the Lord's kingdom, where the Lord ruled Dwaraka as Rajagopala. Mannagudi Rajagopala is seen as Dakshina Dwaraka, and the Lord is seen in a very royal pose, but also dressed like a cowherd with the usual whip and other dresses surrounded by cows, since the Lord is Gopala or Govinda. Here, Go, while representing cows, are also an allusion to the Vedas which the Lord is seen to protect. The temple of Mannagudi is a huge one. The temple tank of Mannagudi is one of the biggest in India, and the temple is usually famous for its walls, its streets, and various huge corridors inside the temple, apart from the grandeur of the Lord himself and the various festivals that are being celebrated. In Tiruvallur, the Rajagopala shrine is one of the two pillars that form the entrance of Kamalamba. So here the pillar representing Bhakti enshrines Lord Krishna as Rajagopala, Srividya Rajagopala. It is interesting to see that in this particular sculpture the Lord's positions of feet and hands are exchanged. One usually sees the feet turning rightwards, but here it turns leftwards. And this is to show that while Dakshina corresponds to the right hand part, the part of Bhakti in earlier stages forms the left hand part. Left hand part in this sense is while using positive feelings of devotion and love towards God to actually train the mind and focus the mind towards attaining moksha. In lesser stages where the mind is turned towards material things, the same feeling aspect can be used in a negative way, as in feelings of anger and disappointments, etc., can be induced to drive a person away from material worlds towards a spiritual discipline. So, this is the path of Ramachara, which also Krishna seemed to rule. Now, considering the aspects of jnana and bhakti, one also observes carefully that these are the two main components of the Atman, the primordial manifestations of the Atman. And while seen as the universal mother Lalitambika, these parts of jnana and bhakti are seen as the weapons that are there in the mother's hand. Specifically, bhakti is seen as the bow, the sugarcane bow in mother's left hand. This is seen as a goddess in her own right. This is called goddess Manthini or Rajashamala. She is seen as the counselor or minister to the goddess. She represents the path of bhakti. She represents the mind because the sugarcane bow represents the mind and Manthini represents controlling of the mind. The Lord is seen with various elements of sweetness such as the parrot, flowers, sugarcane bow, the veena, the musical instrument by which very melodious music is brought. This helps to focus the mind and helps it to concentrate on the Lord, visualizing the Lord within the heart and developing the feeling of surrender. Similarly, the 5 arrows in the right hand of the mother correspond to jnana. Specifically, the 5 arrows are the 5 flowers which symbolize the 5 sense organs. The sense organs are the primary sources of information from what is outside in the world to inside, and so it is these information that is coming from the senses that have to be questioned for reality. So these 5 sense organs represent the jnana aspect. Controlling these represents the achieving of jnana, and the goddess for this is Varahi. Varahi or Dantanata, who forms the commander in chief of the mother's army. The goddess is seen as various weapons such as the axe, the Shankha, Chakra, discus, the Dandam, etc. And here the goddess is seen with a boar face. The boar face is an allusion to the word hog, which is literally to consume everything. And just as a pig consumes all the dirt and cleanses all impurities, the hog faced here is seen as the goddess trying to burn away all the impurities and all the unreal things, leaving what is real alone. For this reason, the goddess also viewed in the form of fire, and she is called Jata Veda Swarupini, or the one with the form of fire. Now, goddess Varahi represents the five sense organs and this Jnana aspect taking over from Dakshinamurti, just as Raja Shamala takes over from Shama or Manthini. Here, the goddess Varahi also represents Purusha Prakriti equalness, just like Dakshinamurti, and in this case, when viewed as separate Purusha and Prakriti, the goddess is known as Varahi and Kurukula, representing Purusha and Prakriti respectively. While in India, Manthini's major shrine is in Meenakshi, Madurai, the famous Meenakshi temple of Madurai. In Kumbakonam, one sees Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple, a replica of the same temple in Madurai, but in a smaller scale. And here is the goddess Meenakshi, who stands for a Manthini aspect. Whereas Varahi is enshrined in the Tanjore temple, the Tanjore big temple constructed by Rajaraja Chola, though this shrine is seen to be much older than the Tanjore temple, and this goddess was seen as a symbol of fertility and was prayed to by the people for agriculture as well as before fighting wars, etc. And the goddess is seen in a separate shrine within the big temple of Tanjore. The temple of Tanjore is located in the heart of the city, just like the Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple is seen in the heart of Kumbakonam. In Tiruvarur, the Purusha Prakriti of Varahi, that is Varahi and Kurukula, are seen as interlocking upward and downward triangles, which is further seen in the Hamsa Yantra form, the Shatkona Yantra, or a six-sided geometrical pattern, which is seen in the Hatikeshwara shrine. This six-sided pattern is actually the veil or Shakti of Lord Skanda, and Skanda himself represents Purusha Prakriti union, and Skanda also represents the aspect of fire, since he was born from Lord Shiva's third eye, which is the aspect of fire. So Varahi as Jataveda Swarupini, or as Purusha Prakriti union, or as Hamsa Rupa is seen in this particular shrine in Tiruvarur. One also finds Varahi among the Saptamatrikas of Tiruvarur, which have Brahmi, Maheshwari, Kaumari, Vaishnavi, Varahi, Mahedri, and Chamunda. So in this, the fifth is Varahi. In Tiruvarur, Manthini is seen as the Akshara Peetham. Now, while Varahi represents the first and primordial state of evolution as equal Purusha Prakriti, Manthini represents a state where Prakriti has evolved to its fullest, whereas Purusha is still right at the center of things. And so, for this fully evolved state, the Prakriti and its 51 Aksharas here are seen in a single Peetham, whereas the 51 Aksharas represent the 51 kinds of manifestation of Prakriti. So, the Akshara Peetha, which is a symbol of the foremost Shakti Peetha that is in Tiruvarur, as well as of all the Aksharas and the concepts that make up the existing universe. And this shrine forms the representation of Manthini. So, for this reason, it is called Mantra Peetham, which also has another meaning because all the mantras, which are sacred chants and spells, are constructed out of these 51 aksharas. Finally, looking at the Manthini Varahi, or looking at Dakshinamurti Rajagopala, one sees that this path of Jnana and Bhakti also form the heights of the two main kinds of faith in Hinduism, the Shaiva and Vaishnava. Specifically, Dakshinamurti, also seen as a form of Shiva, is the highest Shaiva faith in Hinduism, and the highest point that can be reached by Shaiva, which is the complete Jnanam, seeing the Lord Shiva as Guru and merging with the Lord itself in absolute silence. Similarly, the highest Vaishnava faith that can be seen in Hinduism is of Lord Krishna, which is seen as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu himself, and that Lord Krishna as Bhakti, as the self guiding one towards Bhakti and complete surrender towards the Lord, as seen in the Charama Shloka, is what forms the height of Vaishnava faith of Hinduism. So, combining these two aspects is Lord Rama. Now, Rama is also seen as an incarnation of Vishnu. However, it is well known that the very name Rama predates the incarnation and is one of the earliest words to originate. Specifically, Ra contains the essence of the Narayana Ashtakshari mantra, which is a Vaishnava mantra, and Ma is the essence of the Namah Shivaya, which is the Shiva mantra, and combined together one gets Rama. So this is a combination of Jnana and Bhakti as Vaishnava and Shaiva, And because it is a combination of both, it is called Taraka, or the one that yields salvation. Because when a person combines the parts of Jnana and Bhakti, a person is sure to get salvation. Now, within India, Rama is most famously enshrined in Ayodhya, the birthplace of Lord Rama, as well as in other places such as Dhanushkoti, where Lord Rama built the bridge to Sri Lanka, and in Bhadrachalam, as well as other places like Kishkinda and Chitrakoota and so on. Now, in Kumbakonam is the Ramaswamy temple. Now, apart from Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh, as well as another temple in Salem, Ayodhya or Dakshina Ayodhya, which is what Ramaswamy temple in Kumbakonam is, contains the form of Lord Rama in his Pattabhishekam, seated along with Sita and served by Hanuman, and also seen along with his brothers Bharata, Lakshmana, and Shatrughna. So this particular form of Rama is a very unique form which is only seen in Ayodhya and Salem apart from this temple in Kumbakonam. So for this reason Kumbakonam is called Dakshina Ayodhya, and this Ramaswamy temple has another uniqueness. Particularly Lakshmana is seen holding two bows instead of one, since he also holds Rama's bow. As well as Lord Anjaneya is seen with a veena engaging in blissful music serving Lord Rama. This temple is located in the heart of the city and is very near to the famous Sari Kumbheshwara temple. Uh, this temple is one of the main Vaishnava temples of Kumbakonam, and the temple has very intricate carved pillars which form the very artistic beauty, as well as in the walls there are beautiful paintings of the entire Ramayana and all of its incidents. So this temple forms the aspect in which Lord Rama is visualized in the area around Kumbakonam. There are also other temples, for example, in Santana Ramaswamy temple in Needamangalam, where Rama is viewed as a child, and Vaduvur Kodanda Ramaswamy temple, where the Lord of Rama, the idol of Lord Rama, is sculpted by Vishwakarma himself upon the orders of Lord Rama himself, which is arguably the most beautiful idol of any deity seen anywhere in the world. Um, Finally, in Tiruvallur, Lord Rama is enshrined in a pillar in the panel surrounding the western Gopuram or the western entrance. And here, Lord Rama is seen in a very unique pose, aiming an arrow at 7 trees, which is an incident where Rama shot 7 trees in a single line to prove his might to Sugriva and Vali when the latter met him in Kishkinda. So, with this, one concludes the stages of Atma, Guru, Jnana Bhakti as aspects of Guru, Jnana Bhakti as weapons of the Mother, and finally Rama, and the significances of all these deities and how one can see these in temples around Kumbakonam as well as around Tiruvallur.